Evening all, welcome to Sports Unplugged. It's me, Chris Brack, and it's Kev, and that's it at the moment. Ash is on his way. He's stuck in traffic. Gav said he's never coming on again because you're all mean to him. We were going to have another special guest on, but it's actually coming next week. So, Kev, it's just me and you, bud.
Just me and you, mate. Have a nice Friday evening chat. No beers tonight, unfortunately.
I know,
but it is what it is.
I'm full of
no football, no beers. Sucks.
No, I'm full of lemsips. The joys of man flu.
Yeah, you got man flu. I'm just getting over the Rona. So that's what I still sound like I've been smoking 40 a day for the last 50 years. But
yeah,
it's the joys of it.
And poor Luke's unwell, so he's
Luke
also not well.
Luke is poorly.
So we're not doing very well here, are we? So
no, we're not.
Right.
We're chugging on. We're chugging on.
So we're going to chat all things sport, all things Liverpool. But to be first, as Sonny Kang says, will there be F1 chat? Yes, I've been told. I'm under orders. We have to do F1 chat. So I'm going to Kev's going to do F1. I'm going to have a sleep.
Yeah, off you go, F1 last weekend was arguably the best British Grand Prix you've seen in years. And it was made really by a safety car that happened in the last few laps. And it brought everyone together and created the kind of race that you want motor racing to be, where you had 5 or 6 manufacturers with cars trying to get in positions, trying to make passes in the last few laps. It was brilliant. And I mean, you had a horror crash at the start of it as well. It was one of those. The Alex Albon one was the one that went under the radar. He was the one that
the one that spun.
No, Alex Albon was the one who spun and went straight into the wall on the straight at the very start. That's a part of the track that you very rarely, if ever, see accidents. So there isn't protection there. It's just a straight concrete wall. Well, he got really lucky. It was just he was in that. It was whatever happened. He got tagged from behind, and the car just went a 90-degree angle and straight into a wall. The one. The Chinese driver, I keep mispronouncing his name, but he flipped up on it. He flipped up on his side, on his back, went straight through the gravel, flipped up onto the barricades, and bounced off the mesh and into the wall. And if it wasn't for the halo safety, I'd be amazed if he would have survived that. It was a complete total accident that nobody could have done anything about. It was just a really bad start by enough drivers, and one tagged another, and it was just a calamity. But from that, at least everyone walked away saying Alex Albon had to go to medical center to be, for treatment.
Not surprised.
He was released, I think, the next day. He was okay. But yeah, all the drivers came away from it. It was really, really good. But the race itself was fantastic, and there's a quick turnaround because tomorrow, the Austrian Grand Prix is this weekend. You had qualifying today for a sprint race tomorrow, and the Austrian circuit is one of those weird circuits that it's really short. I think the lap times there are something like 1 minute 12, 1 minute 13. So it's a really quick lap time. And when they had the qualifying today, between Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, there was a 1/10 of a second between the top 3. And there was 0.463 of a second between first and 6th. And the two Mercedes crashed out in the last session of qualifying, but their times, what they were posting, would have put them in the top 2 or 3 as well. So the race is set up to be an absolute belter, and that's the last race before the mid-season break. You have a 3-week break then before they head into the second half of the season. But I mean, something catastrophic would have to happen for Verstappen not to win a world title again. But at the same time, Mercedes are looking like they're competitive again. Ferrari are back to being Ferrari. They're brilliant. I mean, was it Kevin bought Aston Martin having cars all the time out of Q1 3 races in a row? It's it's just one of those years this year because the cars are brand new aerodynamics, brand new regulations. Red Bull have just
to adapt quicker, I suppose, isn't it?
Adrian Newey is one of, if not the greatest car designers in the history of motorsport. His ability to be able to make Red Bull so competitive last year while also developing a car for this year, unbelievable. Unbelievable that man's ability to be able to do what he's done. And he's given Red Bull a massive head start in the season. But Mercedes are catching him up, and so are Ferrari. So motorsport needs Formula One to be able to produce 3 or 4 teams that are competitive. And as long as that happens, it'll engage more people. I've been telling you for ages, watch the Drive to Survive series.
It's on my to-do list.
It's one of those series that you get a behind the scenes look at what the teams do in development, and you learn, you appreciate a bit more what goes on. It's like watching behind the scenes with football clubs and stuff like that. You appreciate a bit more how things are developed, so that when it does happen, it's unreal.
Yeah. Calvin wants to know, All-Ireland semi-final. Chris, who you backing? I'm going to go for a Galway Dublin final. There we go. I don't even know that. Is that good, Kev? Are you liking it?
I think it's
Galway against Derry, Dublin against Kerry.
Dublin Kerry would be a belter. Galway won't get anywhere near.
All right, okay. Shows what I know. There you go.
But Dublin, for a county that we're supposed to be rebuilding and supposed to be, a few years away, they're looking good again. They're looking strong. Was it anyone been watching the World Games? Yeah, nice. Funny enough. Nice segue, Reclaimer. I stuck it on today because, on strong recommendations from Phil that you better watch it.
Was it a recommendation or was it a demand?
It was pretty much a demand. It was an order.
Yeah.
But I stuck it on. And if you go into the search bar on YouTube, obviously don't do it now. Stay here. But when you can, put in World Games or Olympic World Game or World Game Olympics. It's on their Olympics channel. And they were streaming the powerlifting today. And that's mainly what it was. It was powerlifting, bench pressing. And it was just like, you normally see it it was different variations of weightlifting that you don't see at the Olympics. That's all it was today. But the rest of the sports, like the lacrosse, the weird stuff like breakdancing and all that kind of stuff.
That's all coming up, isn't it?
That's all coming over the weekend. But the channel focuses on the main sports, the YouTube channel. But in that, there's a link to their website that gives you all the other sports, and they're all being streamed on that. But I think I've tweeted a link on my Twitter to the YouTube channel. Just go into that. It's on there. It's worth a look. It's so. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, I mean, I don't like weightlifting. It's just not my cup of tea. But there's some of the sports, like you're mad into lacrosse, aren't you? So, yeah, I thought you were into lacrosse.
I've said I've watched it twice, and it's a mad sport.
I thought you said you played it.
No, I played hockey.
Hockey's
very different to lacrosse.
But no, lacrosse is very similar. I suppose the closest thing you'd come to it would be hurling. It'd be very similar to hurling, and it's one of those sports that you can actually sit down and watch. Is really cool. It'd be a bit of a laugh.
Yeah. Well, also we're hopefully going to have Phil next week. So it'll have been going for a week then. So Phil can give us his experts.
Phil's going to be glued to this, and by the looks of the people in the chat, I think that it's definitely one of those things. Well, there's no football on, I mean, yeah, the women's Euros is on, and the preseason friendlies are starting to pick up and starting to kick in. But
plus, it's more interesting than watching Twitter rumors, isn't it? Because
it is, yeah, it is. It's the same. We're all. I mean, I love transfers and transfer gossip and what have you. But rehashing the same thing over and over and over, it does get tedious after a while, doesn't it? And
it does when if it's a negative or it's Liverpool, if it's from Liverpool's perspective, it's a negative, it's believed and Twitter said it. But if it's a positive, it's always, I'm not sure that's going to be great. Oh, that's rubbish. That you're like, it feeds into what you want to believe. I'm a bit like, until the ones we know that are always pretty close, which is the usual journalists, just enjoy it. I mean, you can sort of read between the lines. Most of bollocks anyway.
Right. One thing that was asked in the chat on Twitter earlier on, I think it was Bonkers LFC asked me on Twitter. There's a lot of talk. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about with Liverpool about the possibility of changing formation to a 4-2-3-1, and would it detract? How much would it detract from our fullbacks, or would it affect their style of play? And before we came on air tonight, someone put up a stat on Twitter. Since 2000, what did I say? 2017? 2016, 17.
Red Steve, don't worry, I'll sort him out later. We'll do it. We'll have a chat off screen.
Trent has 44 assists. Robbo has 40.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, the levels that these fullbacks are playing at. Trent has more assists than the likes of KDB, who is elite. Heung-min Son, he's 10 plus more than, I think he's 12 more assists than Heung-min Son in the same time period. Bearing in mind the positions that they play and the type of football that they play, because Spurs were playing on the counter a lot. It's ridiculous. But how do you think it would fare out with 4-2-3-1?
I think it might have an impact. I think it might have an impact. I mean, I think we get very hung up on formations. I tend to think formations is kind of what you fall into off the ball. On the ball, Liverpool are a lot more fluid. Like Liverpool's 4-3-3. When they've got the ball, it's two at the back, and it's almost like a front six. That's the way Liverpool do it. And to us, City are very similar. When they have the ball, it's literally two at the back and really highly push forward. I do think it might discourage them to bomb on as much because there'll be a bit more emphasis on the three behind the one, which maybe for some games it's a good thing. It might be a way of preserving legs a little bit. For certain games, it's a slightly less strenuous time on Robbo and Trent. I mean, I know we've got squad game as well, so there is that sort of effort of it. But there was a lot of times actually. I think Laszlo's put in and said we did a lot of 4-2-4. A lot of times we just threw four forwards on. I'm skeptical about the 4-2-3-1 because of the personnel we have. I don't think we have a natural person who can regularly play in the 10. Carvalho has done it for Fulham, but this is a bit of a bigger step up for him. Firmino in his younger days could do the 10, but he's not as robust as he used to be, and he hasn't played 10 for a while, so that's probably not him. I don't think 10 suits Salah. Salah just should stay wide right because it suits him best. Same with Diaz. I think playing wide suits him, and I'm not sure Jota and Nunez. I don't think either of them, from what I've seen, I don't think they suit the 10. Happy to be proven wrong. So I don't know. It does feel like a bit more 4-3-3, or maybe sometimes going a bit 4-2-4 and going really good home. Maybe that's our way of how do you stop a silly draw at home to a Brighton? Is go forward front, pin and back, get the game won early. Which, in some ways, City do try and do that sometimes, and then you bring on more control of midfielders to close it out. Yeah, so I think but it's probably horses for courses. That might be a good formation for away games.
Yeah, I think it is literally a case of who you're playing, and you're right about what you're saying about you fall into formations that you're playing in. The other side of it is our fullbacks aren't overlapping fullbacks. It tends to be
the midfields that overlap.
It tends to be if the right side and left side play in triangles, it's the left centre mid and right centre mid, depending on who that is, tend to be the one. I mean, Robbo does go around the back.
It tends to be Robbo would be the more overlapping fullback.
Yeah, but Trent is the more restrained one.
Trent tends to go inside more when Henson plays right. Henson does the overlap run. Doesn't always get the ball because sometimes it's just to be a divert run to give a different angle for Trent.
Don't tend to be able to free up more space for Mo. One thing I just wanted to quick, MC was asking there, I think he's asked a couple of times, how lucky was the chap that had the F1 crash at Silverstone? If it wasn't for the Halo system that was introduced a few years ago, and a lot of people did not like that notion. And you saw the difference in the two cars. Before the British Grand Prix last week, Seb Vettel, who bought Nigel Mansell's world title winning Renault, Williams Renault. He's converted it to be a car that runs on biofuel.
Oh, okay.
So it's a net zero car on emissions, and he raced it around. He brought it around Silverstone. I'll tell you what, is the most beautiful sound you'll ever hear out of a machine ever in the history of the world. Is a Formula One car on full power going around Silverstone. The way it sounds with a V12 engine, it is a beautiful thing, but it doesn't have a halo. And you look at the difference in the two cars. Zhao would have been killed. He would have died.
Is a halo literally a metal ring above your head?
It is literally a piece of carbon fiber metal that comes around and down. It's like puts a V in front of your head, but it puts a protective ring around you. Okay. So when the drivers get out of the car, they got to dismount that and then get out of the car.
Okay.
But
I assume the logic is if your car flips, your head's not hitting the floor and it protects your neck.
Apparently, it exceeded the pressure that halo was put under exceeded the safety limits of what they were designed for. They're designed to literally hold a London bus on top of a Formula One car.
Okay.
That's what, but the way that car flipped and at the speed he was going at, he was upside down, being dragged along in an open cockpit car. The only thing that would have been dragged along the ground was his head. It would have been his head. His helmet would have been dragged across the gravel, and he would have physically hit the wall. And when the car flipped, he would have hit the fence, where the halo took all of the impact. He walked. He had to be taken out of the car, but he's driving this weekend. It's
Jesus Christ.
It's the best bit of technology ever introduced to motorsport.
You want me to watch this? Flipping heck.
Oh yeah, it's great entertainment. I love it.
Pongs brings up Elliott and Jones in the 10. There's an argument for both of them. I mean, Elliott, he would hide his lack of pace, which he does have. You know,
I don't think you need pace to be playing in the 10, though.
What I mean. So that's what it helps.
You need ability,
but he's
technical
very young.
ability on the ball.
I always feel Jones's best position when he played for the under-23s was when they played the 4-2-3-1, and he always played in the left, cutting in on his right.
Yeah, that's what I think his best position.
I felt last year Jones's bigger issue was this is just my theory. It's probably wrong. Nobody is I think Klopp and the club have worked on him to be a little bit more genie, a bit less of a free spirit, be a bit more of a cog in the machine.
Yeah,
which took away from his attacking prowess, and I think he went too far the defensive, hold on to the ball too much.
Yeah.
And I thought when you got to near the end of the season, you saw the Southampton at home Southampton away game in particular, he got the balance perfect on the left, which was going when he needed to go, would still take a shot from distance, but then was still keeping things nice and tidy. And that's the problem with Jones is I think his best position is in a 4-3-3 is on the left, but he's got to get ahead of Thiago and he's got to get ahead of Keita.
Yeah,
I think that's it. I think that's the challenge he's got. Is his best. We've actually got quite a lot of lads who prefers playing the left of a 3 because Milner's best position is probably left of a 3, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
right of the 3, it's Henderson, and then it's probably Elliott. Because I think Keita has played some good games on the right, but I still think he's better on the left.
I honestly think that you look back at the start of last season and the fact that Klopp put Elliott in that Chelsea game.
Yeah,
I think he trusts him in that 8 role. I don't see Harvey Elliott being a forward going forward. Going into any season while he's playing for us. I think he will be part of a midfield 3, and I think that is going to be his game. Eventually, I think that's what Carvalho's game is going to be as well. But I think they're going to take their time with him and let him evolve physically, not just mentally playing for Liverpool, mentally playing for a side, challenging at the top of the Premier League. But physically, they're literally going to coach him into being a centre mid in a 3. At the moment, I see him being dropped in games, playing off the wings, playing as a backup, just dropped in here and there. But
which maybe playing in one of the 3 positions behind a main striker might give him more options because he could probably play all 3 of them fairly well. Because I agree, I think long term Carvalho is a midfielder. I know he's probably going to be used more in the front 6 this year because of his pace. and also he's got a good eye for goal, but I don't think long term that's his position. Interesting for an MC. Do you reckon if Gomez was fully fit with no injuries, he would be the main centre back partnership with VVD?
No.
Since I mean, put it this way: we forget the year. I think the year we won the league, and it's a couple of years ago. Liverpool didn't concede a goal, barely with them two. And there's definitely been games last year. I think Tottenham at home probably actually would have suited a Gomez-style centre-back, but he wasn't fit. I think the issue he's got is, I think Konate can do everything that Gomez can do, but he's more physical. And I think he's
better on the ball.
I think Gomez
better in the ball, and he's better in the air.
I still think out the three second-choice centre-backs, Matip's the best on the ball.
Oh, Matip, love Joel Matip. He's now my favourite player at the club.
I still think Gomez is probably better on the ball than Konate. I think different styles. The only thing that helps Gomez is he can play right back, and I do think if you want to rest Virgil, I think he's the best one of the three to play left-sided centre-backs. We saw that when Virgil snapped his ACL, and that was the cruel part of that year was you were just starting to see Joe Gomez the leader as a left-sided centre-back, and he was playing well. He was bollocking Adrian away in Ajax, and you're thinking like, all right, okay, this is Gomez go to the next level, and he's just so cruel that he got that injury again with England.
I'm hoping that the confidence of signing a new contract at 25, I hope you start seeing a bit of a more vocal Joe Gomez. I mean, he's the second most longest serving player at the club. People forget how long he's been at Liverpool, and the fact now that he's committed what is going to be the best part of his career to the club going forward. It'll be. I mean, at the start of this season, I think our centre back pairings in order is Virgil, Konate, Matip, Joe Gomez. By the end of the season, I expect that order to change. But going into last season, I would have had Konate at the bottom. I'd have had Joel third, Gomez second, Virgil top. It just goes to show you don't know. It depends on how the season plays out. Injuries can play a part in any season. Suspensions, taking the opportunities that are presented to you. But as it stands at the minute, I think Joe's got it all to do. But I still argue to this day that this is the best 4 centre-backs at any club in world football.
Yeah, I mean, I still think, especially when we get to the Champions League time, which is going to be really condensed, I fancy Konate to start nearly all the Champions League games. I think that European style suits him more. And I think it's Matip who's probably going to start the Prem games either side of Champions League, which is what we did last year. And to be honest, horse for course, that seemed to work a little bit. So, Tariq asks, interesting one. I've seen this floated around a few times. Matip doing the Fab role.
No.
For me, not personally, because I think last year was the first year in touchwood 3 years he was consistently fit.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like I think you're asking too much of his body. And
when he was younger, when he was younger, I mean, his early 20s, that is what he was. He was a centre mid. He did do that number 6 role. But I think age and everything else, he doesn't have the speed. He's quick enough, but he doesn't have, I think in his brain, he's got the mental capacity to play the game.
I think it's a lot of running. I think you realise to play the way we play with a DM, it's a lot of work. And I think that's asking too much from him physically.
Yeah. I love Joel Matip, by the way. I just love his style of play. He's one of those centre-backs that... I love a centre-back who's comfortable bringing the ball out from the back.
He's your new favourite, isn't he?
He is, yeah, absolutely is. I love the way he worked on his fitness and got his body back into a shape to be able to play the season that he's played. I think he's a phenomenal centre-back. He's really underrated by other clubs. When they're talking about, Premier League top centre-backs in this era, he doesn't get talked about because we got him on a free. If we paid 50 million for him, you wouldn't bat an eyelid because he is that caliber of centre back. He's as good as anyone else.
I don't think he's ever gone for a transfer fee.
That tends to be a trend in the modern game. To be fair,
yeah, but I know for some it was thrown as a negative. This person, no one's ever paid a transfer fee for this person, and it was posted as a negative. It wasn't against Matip, it was against a different Liverpool player. We're going, doesn't necessarily mean the case. It's just picking your moments when you want to move.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it was fashionable. I mean, Tariq is saying like as a fill-in though, it means the case. No. Fabinho's. I still think if Fabinho's injured, Henderson's your 6, and I think that's where that's where the midfield debate is. If we're going for a 3, is if you're moving Henderson to 6, which I have no real problem with because he's done fine there. It's then who plays on the right. It's 2 big moves.
By all accounts, Tyler Morton has filled out a bit this year. You know, he's looking a bit bigger, taller, stronger. You know, he's getting that year older as well, and he's a tidy footballer. You know, you know, you're not talking about someone who's going to start, but you're talking about your 7th, 8th, 9th choice centre mids.
You are talking about that because I suppose if we went to any squad and said what's your 9th choice centre mid, it would be an interesting conversation.
Exactly. I mean, people in chat earlier were talking about Curtis Jones not being good enough for Liverpool. Well, in my opinion, Curtis Jones is 7th choice for a centre mid in a 3. Talk to me about Man City's 7th choice centre mid. Talk to me about Arsenal's 7th choice. You know, the depth of squad is really, really good, and because we see it all the time, we've become very, very accustomed to thinking that this is normal. I was watching Premier League before we come on, we were chatting. I watched Premier League, the retro Premier League last night, and there was a Leeds Liverpool game, and it was from 2000. It was about 2000, 2001, I think.
Oh, is that the Viduka one?
Yeah, it was the Viduka one.
I ate that game.
But I looked at the squad. I looked at the 11s. And it's like we thought we were good, you know, and that the bones of that squad went on to do a massive.
Red Steve, we're all filling out a bit.
Some of us have filled out a bit more than others. I get you.
Yeah. Sanderson shows in the house. Oh,
evening, Callum. How you doing, buddy?
That's me in trouble.
But it's like I don't think we look at our squad and think it is really, really good. You know, we don't churn out the type of performances that this squad has churned out over the last 3-4 years and not have depth. You can't do it with a squad of 12, 13, 14 players. It's just not done in any way, shape, or form. You can't have 25 world-class players in your squad. It's not possible. But you have to have 25 people who buy into what the squad is trying to achieve. Callum asking if I'm officially on the Neto train. I was watching you guys earlier on tonight, and I agree with what Drifty was saying. I like him a lot. I want to see how he does this year at Wolves before you.
His knees are made of cheese. He's broke down 3 times since that knee injury.
If
he does a full season staying fit, sound.
All right,
I'm very wary of signing someone.
Let's put it this way: how many players have we had that we've brought back from injury, and they break down with something unrelated because they've either brought it back too early or the physios at the club haven't done their job properly and strengthened the other parts of their body.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen it with Joel Matip all the time. The best thing that happened to Joel Matip was having that 4 months away from the game where he was physically able to develop himself for the next season. I think Pedro Neto needs a full season.
If he does a full season back at his level before the knee injury, I'm all for it. But I'm a bit like, until I see it, I don't want to take the risk.
You wouldn't buy him now. You couldn't buy him now. It would be neglect to buy him now. Yeah. But if he turns good next year, then it's a different conversation you're having.
Bless him. Callum's all saying I'm his new bodyguard. Bless him. Listen, no one picks on Callum apart from me. That's my job. That's my rules. That's my pastime.
Although in fairness, Red Steve picks on everybody. So I mean, you should have seen what he done to Gav last week. Poor Gav ain't coming back on the show no more. It's disgraceful behaviour.
I know. It was funny though, wasn't it?
Bullying and everything.
I know. And they started on me, which was really unfair.
But look, heading into pre-season, how do you think the squad is shaping up at the minute, and what are you expecting out of pre-season? You know, it's a grueling tour. Let's not kid ourselves. Going to that part of the world at this time of year, it's a lot of traveling, and it's different. It's alien weather conditions there. You know, you're talking different humidity, temperatures. A fan base that's going to be absolutely crazy. You're talking Liverpool and Manchester United, two biggest supported clubs in Asia. So it's going to be really, really huge. But what are you expecting to get out of it?
I'll chance it. MC saying, Chris, I've asked you, why do you hate Nagelsmann so much? I just can't stand his face.
Brilliant.
I've not liked him since we played them in Hoffenheim. Just everything about his demeanour, his antics, he just needs a slap. I'm sure he's a very good manager, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't want him anywhere near Liverpool. I'm not sure. I think the reaction show to him signing for us will be cracking if it's me, because I couldn't think of anything worse.
No, I think there'll be a queue to get on that show.
Yeah, and Dicker was saying, do England need to isolate number 2 with a girl being sent home? Yeah, one of the England ladies been sent home with COVID. So I don't know. I think the rules is how close you contact you've been in, and if you test positive. So I don't know. Hopefully it's not the number 2, because that's Lucy Bronze, and she's absolutely fantastic, and she's the key to how England play.
She's the equivalent of she's the women's
women's version of Trent. I mean, she's
that standard within the women's game.
Yeah. I mean, she's pretty much now. She's just left Man City after winning titles with Man City, and she's moving to Barcelona, who just missed out in the Champions League. So she's gone to arguably one of the top 2 sides in women's football. So yeah. Fingers crossed she's not injured, and not having to isolate. But they have to play now until Monday.
Monday nights, yeah. Tough game as well, Monday night. Dan
Austin, Chris, don't mince your words. Nagelsmann is a weasel. I've got other words I can say about him, but we might get thrown off the air or demonetized, so I best not say them.
Don't worry about being demonetized, mate. We don't make no money from this.
Well, I don't have shouting at me again. So, pre-season. I enjoy pre-seasons because I always want to see, especially in the Klopp, what he tends to do something new. So, the thing last year was the right-sided player was a lot more attacking, and then you want to see which players you like. And when we all do it, we end up falling in love or thinking someone in pre-season is going to be amazing, and it never quite peters out. You know, we all remember Aspas scoring goals for fun in pre-season. Yeah. Grujic loved the pre-season. Didn't do anything in the league, but he loved the pre-season. Voronin looked fantastic in pre-season, and then you go, shit. And you just realise what you've got is a Triple H rip-off and go, no, that's not quite the same, is it? So I'm looking forward to it. The only thing, I get Kev, it'll happen every time, is the amount of people, and they fall into it every year, is Liverpool will lose a pre-season game, or they'll lose badly in a pre-season game. That's it. Season's over. We're playing like this for 2 weeks to go. You're like, it's a fucking pre-season game. Half the lads have probably done triple sessions before this. The game's just a bit rusty. So I think people get a bit wound up about it, really. Callum said he's really looking forward to seeing Ramsey play. Yeah. It'd be interesting what the young kid likes. You know, he's highly thought of. I've played a lot of games in Scotland. Kev also is watching Ox be amazing in pre-season, then not seen for months. Yeah. The Ox thing, I still think is a funny one, because he plays more than you think, but he plays more than you think up to February. And then from February, when it's business end of the season, he's not even making squads. Or when he is making squads, Elliot and Jones, the youngsters, are jumping ahead of him. I'm just a little surprised that he's thinking, at his age now, would he not want to play somewhere else? Now, maybe because he's got young family, he's very, settled the youngster. Perhaps he just doesn't want to move this year. And, he's got a contract, so he's happy to stay. My concern, I do think going into the season, we're probably one light. Now, you can debate this. Callum, I've debated. I'd quite like another midfielder. Callum would like another attacker, particularly a right-sided attacker. I think, depending on which way you're going to go formation-wise, if you're going to go 4-2-3-1, another attacker probably won't hurt, because you've got enough midfielders for 2 positions. I think you're sticking 4-3-3 predominantly. I think you're a midfielder light in terms of durability. We've got the numbers. But there are still players you're going like, Henson played a lot more games than I think he should have done last year. But I think he played that many games because of the lack of durability of Thiago, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Jones got a freak eye injury, which kept him out for 2 months. Elliot breaks his leg, but he's still quite a youngster. And Fabinho, he does miss a couple of months a season. Fact of life, they just pick him up. So that's my only interest one. And if you talk about Man United's pre-season,
I mean, look, we don't really, Friday nights we tend to take the club hat off and look honestly at what other clubs are doing. So we'll try and do a bit of that. Manchester United, look, they're when they're being linked to the, I think, Boobury or something. He's
Michael
a striker.
Boobury.
He's a striker at
The singer, isn't he?
10, 15 million pound striker they're linked with because the Ronaldo stuff was that's come out of nowhere. That's knackered them.
You can tell
out of absolutely nowhere.
You can tell that song coming out. The timing's killed him because I think actually, if he'd said in March privately to the club, "Listen, I don't want to be here. I ain't playing Europa League next year. I'm going," they would have had. They could have reassessed the summer, gone, right, we need to bring a striker in. Whereas now it's just like, fucking hell, we've got to bring a Ronaldo replacement in. And whatever one you bring in isn't going to be as popular as a Ronaldo figure, as well as fixing the midfield, getting a centre back, and fixing both full back areas. Now they brought a young left back who, looks highly rated. They brought Ericsson in, which I think.
I don't think that's actually done.
It looks so. It
looks like it's there, but it's not done.
I'm
wondering now, are they getting cold feet because they might have to commit a lot more wages to bring in a centre forward.
Maybe. I think Ericsson's a good one because it's the Mata replacement, isn't it? In terms of experience. Yeah. But the difference is you can play him a lot more than you can play Mata because Mata's legs are gone. Look, that's just age. But what have you thought of the Ten Hag revolution? Which, it always happens with a new manager and it always gets overplayed. But some of the sorts coming out, they've got to be in for 9 o'clock. If you're late, you're dropped, and if you got a phone at your table, you're fined. You're going. But what's really good? Standard. These are pretty standard things that happen in most clubs. Now, maybe that's where United are, as in if this sort of shit hasn't been going on, which is fine. Look, you've got to start somewhere. I get that, but still going to, saying the lads have got to start training at 9 o'clock. You're like,
yeah,
okay, wow,
and
it's pre-season. It's pre-season. Yeah. I mean, Liverpool players will be in training at 9 o'clock. Probably go to a hotel for a couple of hours and then go back to training for another session. That's kind of standard pre-season stuff.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, look, I think he's a progressive manager, but I think he's very much a disciplinarian, and it's his way or the highway. And
which they do probably need, to be fair.
They do need it. And the thing is, I think what needs to happen at Manchester United is they need to go all in on him over every single player at the club.
That's the big thing. They've got if Ronaldo or, and I'm not saying he is, but say Bruno Fernandes starts kicking for us, going, I don't like this tray, I don't like this dog. The club will go, right, you're out the fucking door, done. Harry Maguire. If he says I don't fancy Harry Maguire as my club captain, I don't want him as a player. Just say he does. Then United go, I don't care if you have to make a loss on him. You get him out the club. I don't want him here. And Liverpool had to do that under Klopp, and Pep definitely did it when he went to City. He got away what, in his eyes, were the bad eggs. And listen, I remember when Pep sold Joe Hart.
Yeah.
That was a big thing, that. And the first guy they brought in, Bravo, didn't quite work out as well as Edison. But you can see where he's going. And he just basically went, you can't play the way I want to play. And probably didn't like his attitude. And look, Joe Hart hasn't really done much since he left City.
Yeah.
And look, it was quite brutal. It was just, you're out. And he was a big personality at City.
Massive.
But that's what they've got to do with Ten Hag, is say, you pick the players you want, and if it's a big person or a big wage player, you're out the door.
Yeah, but they also got to be they've got to be strong enough to accept that you're not going to be fighting to get into you're not going to be a top 4 side next season. They're not. There's just no way on God's green earth they're going to challenge to get into the top 4 next season. But they have to put a structure in place and a plan in place that within 3 years, within 3 or 4 transfer windows, they're back in a position where they can really push the top 4 and further. But if they're going from fire to fire, which is what they have done over the last few years, they're going from fireplace to fireplace to fireplace and constantly trying to press the magic button. It's just not going to happen. And look, put Liverpool hat back, I'm absolutely delighted.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, we as a club need as many sides as possible to be able to push Man City to take points off them, because
Which why
too many sides in the Premier League, including the big sides, fold when it comes to playing Man City.
Which why
they don't have the bottle for it.
Which why Sterling going to Chelsea at least gives them something. Now we were talking about this pre-show, and I still think the top two is Liverpool and City. Yeah. I think third and fourth. I actually think it's more wide open than people think. Chelsea are in a little bit of a big rebuild. You know, they're going to a more fluid front three. They're going to try and pinch De Jong off United. The talk is, I think, they put aside Féileacáin, which is a solid centre back for a back three, but they still need another centre back. So quietly, that's a lot of turnover and a lot of new players to fit in a very condensed season. Tottenham, similarly, I think Tottenham bought well, but again, you've got to integrate all these new players in a very condensed season. And we saw with Tottenham, they were really good post-Christmas last year once they were out of Europe, and it's one game a week. Now they've got to do, 3 games a week consistently. It's going to be, again, they may just fly into it. But they may fly to be fine, which is why they've got Richarlison, and they've got 4 lads for 3 positions. Perisic can cover that. So the players they bought are sensible players. It's just whether they are enough. So, and as we talk about Tottenham, Ash arrives. Hello, Ash.
Evening, gentlemen. Yeah, I'm all good. Sorry about the delay. It's been an absolute manic day, mate. I've been flying down the motorway from Newcastle, and it's so hence the reason why there's a bit of a delay. So I do apologise.
Don't worry about it, mate. We're just nattering away about what other clubs have done in the window so far and where they are. We were just chatting about Manchester United. We were just saying, like, the Cristiano Ronaldo stuff is just come out of nowhere. They can't have been expecting this because there's obviously no plan to replace him. And I honestly don't think they have the funds to do everything that they need to do and replace a striker. Not someone of his caliber. No way on earth. So they're going to have to sacrifice something. But how do you see it at the minute? Because they're heading on their preseason tour and their star boy main attraction ain't going to be there.
I've heard, I don't know, I've been dipping out, mate. I've been absolutely manic this week. So football and Sky Sports and transfers has been the last thing on my mind, unfortunately. I've not even had a chance to go for a piss, let alone look at Sky Sports. I've seen little snippets. 15 million, I've heard. I don't know if that's true, that they're willing to sell him for. Chelsea's interested. I think that'd be mad if he's gonna stay in the Prem. I would think that he would probably go somewhere like Bayern or PSG, somewhere that he's not experienced as yet, and try and do a different league and put another notch on his belt because he's been everywhere else, hasn't he? So I don't understand why he would stay in the Prem. I would definitely see him going abroad if that is the case.
Yeah, I think Bayern have already distanced themselves from him. Oliver Kahn has come out and said that they're not interested, that he doesn't fit their plans at the minute. And I think Bayern are more focused on getting De Ligt over the line.
Yeah,
I think, and that's their big signing. They're looking at 58 million plus wages for him. They've already got Sula out the door, so that's their main focus now. They got Sadio in the door, so getting that deal done for De Ligt, because there's stiff competition for him. Getting that in the door is good. But Callum is saying there, Man United need 2 centre-backs, right back, 2 centre-mids, a winger and a striker. With a limited budget and the only offer of Europa League football and realistically no chance of fighting for titles, you're limited. You're really... And United are still a behemoth of a club. Globally, they're still a massive club. But
they bought the Ajax left-back, haven't they?
Yeah. Is that who they've done so far, is it?
Yeah.
That's who they've done. I think Eriksen, apparently...
I still think that's up in the air because of the wages that Eriksen would get. I think they might have to refocus that money to go into bringing in a striker, personally. Because I don't think they were bringing in a striker this summer.
No, I think Ronaldo's kind of forced a hand now a bit, haven't he?
Exactly, yeah.
But is Greenwood still in the shit, or is he back in it? Or?
No, he's out of it. He's out of the picture.
He's not involved in the club at the moment until...
Oh, right, okay. So that's
another... So at the moment, their only strikers is Rashford, and, the latest leak to the press is use Martial as a centre-forward, but they've been trying to use Martial as a centre-forward for about 4 years. And
I thought his career is over with at Man United, to be fair.
Well, I think it was under Ollie. So, but I don't know, new manager, new bounce. But I mean, I don't know how many new managers they need before they're going to get it out of Martial.
Yeah, and the other side of it is, from what I've seen, the price is quoted for Anthony from Ajax, €71 million.
That seems to have cooled down as well. That was like hot a couple of weeks ago, and now it's all of a sudden.
But I think 71 million will cool any conversation for him.
But again, I think United are paying for the mistakes of the past, which is everyone goes, just quote big. They'll say they won't do it, but last minute they'll do it, and they nearly always do.
I think the only time
they didn't do it was Sancho, where they refused to go to the 100 million, and they went back and they did get him cheaper, but still a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
I mean, the left back they've got, they're actually smart. They actually did what Liverpool did with Diaz, which is, I think Leon had pretty much got the deal lined up and got the price agreed, and they swooped in and said, we'll price match it and we'll give him a little bit more on wages, and got him, which is actually clever. That's what you said. Like we did. We let Tottenham do all the hard work of signing and get the deals agreed at a certain price. We'll do that, and then you get the player.
Take him at the last minute.
That's what they should do, But they've been, if they'd gone straight into Ajax for that left back, they'd have just gone 50 million, please, because we know you'll pay it, and because nobody else has gone for him, it makes them look stupid. So they're in that weird rock and a hard place. So
they're in an absolute mess at the minute. A club who's not in a mess at the minute is Spurs. They've got Bergwijn out the door for 26 million back to Ajax, and
what did they pay for him, Kev? I don't feel like
it wasn't much difference. I think it was about 22. 23 million. It felt
like it was a good deal in terms of both financially and it's just a player Conte doesn't fancy. So, but yeah, they look smart, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and they're looking to bring in Clement Longley on loan as well, which I find is a bit of a weird one.
I didn't rate him much.
The left back was from PSV, not Ajax.
PSV.
I didn't rate him much, Longley. I don't know if that's because of what happened in the Champions League or what, but I don't rate him personally. But you don't ever know. Different league, different management, different style could benefit him.
Yeah, I just don't think his body will stand up to the Premier League. He spent a lot of time injured at Barcelona the last couple of years. Left-sided centre-back, left-footed. But
would the back three take the pressure off his body a little bit? And I suppose they might use him in rotation with Ben Davies.
Yeah, I think that's
keep rotating him. Which to be honest, you do think with some of these Spurs signings, they're not always going to be starters, but I'd rather have Longley come in than throw a kid in.
Are you too worried about Spurs for next season or not? No. Considering the signings that they made, I'm not personally.
I think they've done the clever enough signings to almost guarantee they're going to be a regular Champions League club for the next couple of years.
I think that's what it is. Yeah,
which for Spurs, that's what they've got to do. Then you try and kick on to be a regular third place and go on and go. That's kind of the way of doing it. That's how City did it many moons ago. That's how we've done it in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's not, you can't do. There's no way Spurs are going to, I don't think, jump from fifth a couple of years ago to fourth to now being going for titles and Champions League. Spurs haven't yet proven that they can break 90 points and do it while challenging in Europe. They haven't proven that yet. So
they've got the extra workload as well this year, haven't they? So that would test them a bit more as well. Because, like I said, after season this year, he had one game a week and he just about scraped over the line.
Yeah.
And, this is the test this year with a condensed season, the World Cup halfway through it, European football. Was it 16 Prem games, isn't it, before the World Cup? Is that right?
16 Prem, 6 Champions League, and 2 League Cup games. But, I mean, the League Cup games are in late November, early December. So it's not like you're going to...
24 games before November. And that is insane. Absolutely insane.
Squad depth for every club is going to be tested. That's why you look at the rotation policy that Jurgen Klopp has. That he'll manage the minutes of everyone as much as humanly possible while making us as competitive as possible. I mean, Arsenal, another one, they're doing some mad business. And I don't think it advances them one bit. I think they're spending crazy money.
Well, Jesus is upgrading Lacazette, I would say.
Is he?
I think he scored more than Lacazette did.
But I think he's on the same par in regards to the team that Arsenal's got. No,
sorry. I still think he could do better as a number 9 than what Lacazette did. Lacazette I think he lost his way at Arsenal. Fabio Vieira, look, I can't promise I've seen loads of him. From what I've read, he does look like a good player, but I can't say I've seen loads of him play, so I can't really judge him.
I've only watched him for Portugal at the under-21s, and no, he's he's technically a very good footballer. But you look at Arsenal, and Arsenal's problem has been their problem for years: is steel and spine and spite in the middle of midfield, and they don't have it. Partey was supposed to be bringing this to his midfield, and he's just not. He's not up to the. He's not. Yeah, they can't get him on the pitch, and I don't know what else they're doing there. It's weird.
Tierney's excellent, but he's never fit.
No, he's like storage. He's made of glass.
Yeah, I always think with Tottenham you can still bully them. Arsenal. I always think you can bully them. And that's why I was thinking. I think you can outwork Arsenal, and then your quality shines through. So
I mean, Daz is saying there in the chat, Jesus is a great signing, way better than Lacazette. I think they're two completely different players.
What's that? Sorry? Who's this? Sorry,
Dazzler. In the chat there. I look at Jesus and I think you're not a number 9. He's a wide forward at best, and I think you look at what Arsenal have in Martinelli, in Saka, in Smith Rowe. Do they really need another wide forward? Did they need to invest that much in a wide forward? I just think it's a weird one for me.
Unless they think Martinelli is going to go through the middle.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it works out.
That's with the interchanges. They keep Jesus as a wide forward, and you put Martinelli through the middle.
I personally think. Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to.
You go for it.
I was just going to say, I personally think that this could potentially be Saka and Martinez last season at Arsenal. Anyway, I think no Champions League football next year, and I think that's it. They're goners, gunners, or should I say? Excuse the pun. I do personally think Saka's what 20.
I think he's 2 years. Isn't he 2 years on his contract? So next summer he's the 1 year contract, which at 1 year now seems to be where every club goes interested in someone.
Exactly that. And like I said, if he's trying to seek Champions League football, and with 1 year left, I would probably say Arsenal would want to cash in rather than let him go for nothing. Same as Martinelli as well, and you've got to be savvy. And when Gav was pointing out about the Salah situation, there could be potential before obviously he signed. He said Liverpool might look to sell him. It's always an option, isn't it? Because like I said, if it's worth some money, you may as well cash in and then reinvest in the squad rather than letting a big asset go for nothing next season. So I reckon, I do reckon this could be the last year. I can't see Arsenal getting Champions League football next season. After next season, I should say.
You look at the other end of the table, though. You look at what the promoted sides have done in the window, and what Leeds have done, and some of the other transfer business that's been done in the league. Nottingham Forest have brought in 3 defenders this week. If they get the Nico Williams one over the line,
is that closer? Isn't it?
I think it's virtually done. It's virtually done. But Nico Williams, Omar Richards, and Niakate, they brought in a centre back from the Bundesliga as well, French centre back. He's from the same kind of crop. He's a year younger than what Kanate would be. He's a serious centre back. I think he's going to be one of these players in a couple of years' time that's going to be playing for
top 6
side easy. I just thought that's for the manager that they have and the style of play that they play, the 2 wing backs they're bringing in and a quick, pacey, dominant centre back. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they can do this season. I think they could be a surprise package because they've got some pace up front as well.
They're giving me Sheffield United vibes.
Yeah,
when they first come up.
Yeah,
I don't think that. Well, I'm going to probably curse them now, but I don't think they're going to go down. I think they'll stay up. I think they'll surprise a lot of teams like Sheffield United did.
Yeah,
and then it's all about the second season syndrome, then, isn't it? Whether they...
I fancy them and Fulham. I think Fulham might stay up this year as well. Bournemouth, I'm not convinced by. I'm just not.
No, yeah. I think they're dilly-dallying around an awful lot. They haven't really done enough yet.
Well, they apparently be getting Nat Phillips on loan for six weeks now. I'm still yet to see this.
It's the way it's looking. We're going to make more money on loan fees for Nat Phillips than you could ever get on a transfer for the poor kid. But look, as long as he's playing and he's happy, I couldn't care less. Nat deserves nothing but success in his career.
Speaking of, go back to Liverpool for a little bit. What do you think about the 2 So what do you think about Nico Williams potentially going, and also Joe Gomez staying? Which is because let's be honest, it was only a couple of weeks ago. A lot we're talking about Gomez probably will go in the summer. He'll want to go to Villa. He want to play regularly, so he clearly fancies himself that he's going to play this year. But I'm pleased because we've just seen with Chelsea paying big money again for Ake. Getting homegrown players is difficult, and Joe Gomez for me covers a lot of areas for Liverpool, fullback and centre back. And I still think if he can keep him fit, it's a very, very good player to have. What do you think, Ash?
I completely agree, mate. I like Joe Gomez. I've always rated him. He was part of the back two with Van Dijk, wasn't he, for the title winning season, if I remember rightly?
For most of it, yeah.
He did get mentioned a lot. That's the thing. Like, whoever's next to Van Dijk doesn't always seem to get a shout, even though they just get overlooked all the time. I've always rated Joe Gomez more as a centre back than a right back, but then he does a job at right back when Trent's needed, a rest, as we saw in the season just gone. He was putting a good performance against Norwich. Was it Norwich? He played right back and he got an assist.
Yeah, Norwich got an assist against. He did well away at Newcastle as well against. I'm pleased. I think in the next couple of years when potentially Matip might not be there and Van Dijk's starting to slow down, and we'll probably see a Gomez and Konate back too, because they're still relatively young between them, aren't they? I think Konate is 22 and Gomez is 25, 25 is he? Yeah. So 5 years of those two, I think that would be our centre back. Completely happy with it, mate. Nico Williams, I could understand why you would be leaving. Nothing against the lad, done a job for us, but again, it's comparisons to Trent, isn't it? All the time, whenever we know that Trent's the best right back in the world, but as soon as he's out and someone else goes in and takes his spot, is always a comparison. Oh, it doesn't cross it like Trent. It doesn't get the 40-yard balls like Trent does, and whatever that looks like. I reckon he's Premier League, a Premier League player, Nico Williams, but probably not high end, and I don't think he's enough now for us. And I think that now we've seen that with Callum Ramsey being signed, I think that kind of determines his future with the club. I think that's pretty much pushed him out the door more than anything. Yeah, and you said, Kevin, he's a wing back. He's a wing back, isn't he? You said that system suits him better. And to be fair, he's playing regularly for Wales. To be fair, on his wrong side at left back because he's very highly trusted there. I think the Fulham loan did him the world of good.
Yeah, give him the confidence that he can play a full season, and that's the only worry you have with an awful lot of players is at that age anyway. Yeah, you look good in the games you're playing, the League Cup games, and what have you. But going into the Championship and playing a 46-game season, or even for Nico the second half of that season, physically it takes a toll. It's demanding, and if you're not used to it, it finds you out. That league finds players out, and physically it takes its toll. So. And he's flexible as well, Nico. He can play left wing, right wing, but he is a wing back. He's, to me, the same as Reece James. Reece James is a wing back. He's not a full back. There's a big difference in positionally between the two positions. And I think when you're playing with a system with wing backs, Nico Williams is a very good player in that system, and he'll do a really good job for Forest. And I think the manager that Forest have, he'll utilize the wing backs really well. I think he's going to surprise people. I don't know how long he's going to be at Forest, but he's a very, very good coach with Liverpool connections as well. So they're going to be one. They're going to be one of those sides that if they're on the 12:30 kickoff, you're like, I'll give them a watch. I wouldn't mind sitting down and watching them. They're a nice side to be able to watch. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, the interest challenge for him will be when he was at.
There's one thing. It's a fair fee as well.
It's
rising to 17 million. I think based on loan appearances. To be honest, it's what he's done on loan and it's what he's done for Wales. It's a good return on the investment that the club will have made on him in developing him, and it's what the club needs to be good at. Because it helps us with FFP as well, that you're able to sell well as buy right. We're very good at buying smart, but being able to sell at the right time is very important as well. and getting players to clubs that advance their careers. That's a bonus.
Another bonus as well. Sorry, another bonus is that it only leaves £86 million left to get Jude Bellingham.
Sorted.
Good way to
segue.
Yeah. So you've done this before, Ash?
I try my best, mate. I try my best.
You are there, Baba. How do you think? I mean, look, we were all on board the train last week. We've done the fat back four, and it doesn't take very much to convince me that he's coming in. He's something.
Just a side-eyed WhatsApp for me normally does it for you.
All right, I've got to throw a big, huge concrete block in the works. That
get him off.
Dortmund loaned Alex Witsel to Atletico Madrid this week. I don't believe the Dortmund loan at him anywhere if there's a prospect of selling him this season. I just don't see that deal happening if they thought that interest from Liverpool was concrete for this season. So that's the only thing that would make me pull back from saying, we're all aboard the train for this summer.
When did Dortmund start pre-season? Have they started yet?
I'd imagine they're in. The Bundesliga normally, because it's only an 18-team league, they normally start their league fixtures a bit after the Premier League. But I think
because generally we saw that with the Sancho deal, they tend to say that's the deadline they tend to give. Dortmund seems to be this hard deadline, which is pre-season starts this date. If you're not done by this date, it's not happening. And they were rigid with the Sancho one. That's my always thing with the Bellingham. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen before they go to pre-season. And if it's not done by then, it's either happening next season or it's not. And ultimately, at the moment, we've seen credible journalists say like Liverpool like him, but Liverpool like a lot of players.
Yeah,
there's a big jump from we like the player to we're buying the player. And at the moment, people saying we're buying players are the usual fun Twitter accounts, NDKL and people like that, which are great fun to have a laugh with, but it doesn't mean it's happening. Listen, I'm well happy if I'm sat with Eggerby Hayes going, Jude Bellingham's out next week, and I'm going, cracking.
It'd be Laszlo saying that Wetsel has gone on a free. No, I'm pretty sure Wetsel has gone on a loan. I think he's got one. I don't think his contract expired. I might be wrong. I might have picked that up wrong. But I'd be amazed if someone like him went, because I've got a list here of the Dortmund midfield options going into the season, and for all of the investment that they've made this summer already in bringing in a centre back, bringing in Haller, they didn't make much money on the Haaland deal.
No, you told me that, didn't you?
Yeah, if you look at the fee that they paid for Haaland and then look at the buyout that City paid, factor in the wages that Dortmund would have paid him, they might have cleared 8-10 million total on that deal. So it was poor business by them for a change.
Did Salzburg get more money than Dortmund?
Yeah, it's crazy
because of the sell-on clause. It's unreal. I don't understand the logic behind that, but it's whatever's in the contract, isn't it? It is what it is, unfortunately.
Flipping heck, we don't get these very often. Oh, God, bloody hell. Super chat. Big money bags, Callum here. Right, question for the panel. Would Jude be your first choice? If not, who would be? Does Jude allow us to overtake City this coming season? Go on, Ash, let you go first.
Yeah, you crack on, Ash.
Jude is my first choice. It fits so many criteria. He adores Liverpool as far as we're aware. So does his family. I don't think that's a hidden thing. He's got a close relationship with Trent and Hendo when they're away in England. The way that he plays would suit us to a T. English, homegrown. The only issue I've got is obviously the premium English tax you're going to pay for him because, like I said, if he was Brazilian or Spanish, it'd probably be about 60 million rather than 103, 120 million, or whichever fee that's floating around. But yeah, he's definitely my first choice without a doubt. I've seen him when he was playing for Birmingham, a couple of times when he played Bristol City, as I'm a Bristol boy, seen all that, and he looked promising then. So to have that experience in the Champions League is only going to make him a better player, which I've seen clips of him. I'm not going to turn around and say I watched the Bundesliga because I don't. I've seen clips of him and I've always been impressed, even when he's played for England. He's just got something about him. He's clever. He's quite intelligent on the ball. Without the ball, I think he would suit us to a T, absolute T. And in regards to us overtaking City, with or without Jude Bellingham, I think we will overtake City. I think, as you've seen it before, we get knocked down, but we come back stronger. And I think what happened in 18, 19, 19, 20 will happen again this season. I think we're just going to go all guns blazing for the Prem. And I think that's it. I think next May we'll be celebrating number 20. There you go. Bold shout there, boys. There you go.
That's all right. That's what we like to hear. So, Kev, what's your? Would he be your first choice? A few in the chat saying Barella from Inter.
I agree with everything that Ash said. He suits us to a T. If you were building a centre midfielder for a Klopp system, you build Jude Bellingham.
Yeah.
6'1", box-to-box runner. He's intelligent on the ball. He's got great touch. He's got composure on the ball. He can tackle. He can do it all. All right, and he's 19 years of age. Do I think we go for him this summer? No. I think that if an opportunity, I don't think money will be an issue because you're buying Jude Bellingham for a decade. All right, and if he costs you 105 million, it's 10 million a year over the length of the time he would be at the club. Not a bother. That to me is the ultimate money ball player. He will always hold his value. The other side of it is next summer when we do go for him. I was on with Daz from Daz TV earlier on, and I laid this, and I firmly believe this. We are the best run club in world football. I won't be told any different on that. We're probably in the top three. We're definitely in the top three clubs in world football as a squad, ability on the pitch at the moment. We have the best manager for a Jude Bellingham in the world at the moment. I don't believe for a second that Jude Bellingham makes a move for money. Jude Bellingham took the plunge and went to Germany to play football when the opportunity, he could have gone to Manchester United, he could have gone to any English club, but the opportunity to play games wasn't there. So he took the plunge to develop his football career in Germany, which is looking like a good roadmap because English clubs will always come back and buy back these players. And I wouldn't be afraid of going head-to-head with anyone with what I've just said about where we are as a club, where we are with our club manager, where we are with our structure. I'd go head-to-head with anyone and say, and put an offer on the table to attract a Jude Bellingham for the long term, because I don't see anywhere in world football that is better for him. The ones that could blow you out of the water are PSG. I don't see him going there. Real Madrid are actually in a position now where you look at the Madrid midfield. I think the Madrid centre mid is set for the next decade with what they've bought and where they are at the moment. And that leaves Liverpool. I don't see any other club apart from Man City. And I think
that's a big danger.
And if he turns around and says, "Look, I want to replace KDB at Man City, and Man City are going to pay me a bazillion squillion quid," then fair enough, fine. But I definitely think that we're going to be in a position to pay whatever transfer fee is needed to get him next summer, and put a proper salary in front of him to attract him. I wouldn't be afraid of going head to head with anyone in that respect. But I think it will be next summer.
Yeah. That's my concern is what we can offer and City can offer him in terms of football. In terms of football, because we could say, look, you would be running the midfield. He'd be in my idea, the ideal one for the right side of that midfield. If you're going to stick with midfield three, he's still young, so it's how we'd handle the pressure of that level of fee. But City could also do that, and we had very similar chats earlier in the a few years ago about Sancho. Sancho loves Liverpool. His family love Liverpool. He went to Germany young to get regular football. He come to Liverpool. it was too rich for Liverpool's blood, and he's now at United. Now, whether he regrets that is no matter, but we have heard this dance before. So I'm still a bit like, I'd like him. Of course, who wouldn't like him? But for me, I still feel like if we really want him, I think money talks. I think you try and push something this summer, because I think next summer competition's going to be a lot harder for him. And potentially you've still got to replace, you've probably got to bring 2 midfielders in next summer, because you're going to lose Chamberlain, you're going to lose Milner. You might at the moment losing Keita. The talk is he might get a new contract, but there's at least 2 midfielders going. Firmino is still up and down whether he's staying or not. Some are saying he might get a new contract, some are saying he isn't. But again, that's another one. So it's still other areas to do, so keep us busy. So,
yeah, but look, the other Callum was saying who, if not, then who? Barella's the obvious one. I like Sandro Tonali a lot. I think Sandro Tonali is an exceptional footballer, but he's not. Sandro Tonali is not an 8. He is definitely a Pirlo, an Andrea Pirlo type player. There's not, you wouldn't say there's a massive field of young centre mids that are attainable at the moment. I mean, Gavi, I think,
he's tied down.
He's tied down. But look, I think Gavi is going to be an absolute superstar. Pedri, another one, is an absolute superstar.
He's already a number now. I think that's confirmed that he's staying now, isn't it, Pedri?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they're Barcelona. You know, you'd have to go there and pry him out of their cold dead hands to get those guys out. But Alex Wirtz is one to keep an eye on for next summer. He's had a bad injury, but he'd be one to keep an eye on for the future, definitely. But he's an out and out 10 for me. I think your Barella is definitely one to keep an eye on. When Klopp tends to name check players, and he doesn't do it often, but he name checks players in press conferences, then you obviously know that that's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Newhouse, I tell you what, Newhouse last summer was all the rage, all the talk, but
that died very quickly.
Yeah, and he's had a poor season. Callum there mentions Matheus Nunes. Yeah, really good, solid centre mid. I've only ever seen him playing for Portugal. And when he plays for Portugal, he plays ahead of Moutinho now. He's taken over the Moutinho role in the Portuguese squad. And he looks very dependable.
I thought already he was already off somewhere.
No, he's very dependable, very solid. No, Vitinha went to PSG. Vitinha went to PSG. The kid who was at Wolves last year.
Yeah, no, I thought Chelsea were linked to him actually. Yeah,
and someone was saying, or I think it was Callum was saying that PSG would be all over Ronaldo, and I think in days gone by, I think PSG would have, but I think under this new manager and the way they want to take the club, yeah, but I think they're going to start treating it properly now, you know, and go away from signing the star names, the Leo Messis, the Sergio Ramoses of this world, you know, the showboat signings, and I think they're going to start investing in proper footballers. You know, and getting the age profile of the club of players down and develop the squad properly. I think things are changing at PSG. You know, I don't think they'll be going into the star names too often anymore.
Just a quick one. Sorry.
It's a quick one. LFC Legends won the Masters versus United in the final, so we can watch that later.
Oh, for sure.
And he also mentioned earlier, I missed it, apparently Jota's got engaged, which is nice. Nice to have some nice news.
Congratulations.
You get a new contract as well soon to celebrate.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Apparently so. That'd be good. Tie him down as well.
Yeah,
wouldn't be a bad idea. You know, that's one less headache for down the road.
What I was going to quickly say was back to Jude Bellingham quickly. I think next summer will determine the kind of character that he is as well. If he's going to decide if it's going to be us or let's say City, for argument's sake. Is he after the money or is he after the progression? And I think his next decision of where he goes will be an indication of what kind of character he is off the pitch.
I think if he goes to Liverpool or City, he gets a development, personally.
Yeah,
I think City are good young players, how they've done with Foden. And I think Kev's right. I think they can almost like sell him the dream of you're a long-term KDB replacement, which is that's an ego massage for anyone.
True.
You can say like, and you win titles with us, and you'll help us try and win
You
more.
could do that with us as well, though, can't you?
That's what I mean.
That's it.
You could do the best with both. If you went to someone like a Newcastle, then you would go, you're not going there for football reasons because they're knowing it. You go for money. And look, if that's what you want to do, sound. But that you're not going for football reasons. You know what I mean? The talent he is. If he's coming to England, I think it's either Liverpool or City he's going to. I don't think he goes anywhere else.
I straight up honestly believe that Klopp is the best manager to get the best out of him as a player.
Yeah,
for the type of player that he is. I think Pep is a great manager, and he will.
It's also whether Pep extends.
Rumor has it he's saying until 2030 now, isn't it? They reckon they've offered him like another 6-year extension or something.
I can't see him doing 6 years, but
I think Callum's asked him, would Bellingham play an 8 or a 10 for us? I think he'd wear the number 10, but he's a pure box-to-box centre mid.
Yeah, I think
he's an up and down engine room. I think if you were likening him to a centre mid, you would really liken him to a Steven Gerrard.
That's what I was going to say.
Do you know what I mean? And that's a big statement, but it's like, the way the players are, he is a Gerrard type player. And there ain't too many engine room box-to-box centre mids out there at the minute. There really ain't. No,
there aren't. So,
but it's definitely one that's going to brew on all through the summer. It's not going to go away. But the other thing that I saw a quote coming out about him at Dortmund, he won't disrespect Dortmund for what Dortmund have done to him.
He's not going to do transfer requests and start kicking players in training and stuff like that.
And he's not going to be the one to talk in the press about I want to move or XYZ at Dortmund is not letting me fulfill my dreams. And that to me tells you a lot about the type of player he is.
But that's what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear. I mean, to be fair,
want to hear,
Sancho did very similar when he left Dortmund for United. He clearly wanted the United move. He did similar. You didn't hear a peep out of him when the move fell through and he went a year later. So that's kind of sort of the right way of doing it, really, isn't it? But look, not every footballer does that. Even our mate, Mr. Van Dijk, didn't exactly leave in the nicest circumstances for Southampton. Look, we think it's great because he came to us, but he did end up training with kids and refused to play for a bit, and
it doesn't. When it happens to you, when it happens on your behalf, you're like, he loves us. He just wants to come to you. But when you see it happens, when a player does it to you, and we've had players do it to us, force moves, and it's like, it's not nice. So I respect players who keep the gob shut, and
me too.
Not a case of speaking when you're spoken to, but know what to say and when to say it and who to say it to.
Yeah, because all Bellingham says, Liverpool are great, but it'd be great to move there. That's the headlines for next 6 weeks.
Exactly.
And Dortmund will be like, I could do without that. We're trying to win the Bundesliga.
And there's rumours as well that he's going to get the captaincy of Dortmund this year as well.
That'd be a good experience for him.
Yeah. There is that side of it as well. Right, guys, it's 11:20. I think we should let people go. I need to go to bed because
shit, mate. No offense.
My man Blue's taking over now, so I definitely need to go have a little sleep. So
you ain't gonna get any sympathy at your house, that's for certain.
My house, God no.
Yeah, you can take the sympathy from the chat, and I don't think that's going to come anytime soon either.
Well, I know.
So what's the plans for the weekend, lads? What are you setting up to watch?
Go on, you go, Ash.
Are you going to watch the rugby tomorrow?
Yes, I will watch the rugby tomorrow. I might, for my sins, see the tennis for a little bit, even though I don't really watch it much. But it's the final, so I might have a little dabble just to see who's winning. Other than that, mate, I'm just in countdown mode now until the start of the season. I just can't wait. Tuesday's when we got United, so I'm just counting down the days for that now more than anything. There's not much else on, is there, really?
No, but tennis could be quite good because I think it's two very fiery fellas in the final. It's a shame Nadal got injured because actually I was looking forward to seeing Nadal versus Kyrgios, isn't it?
Kyrgios, yeah.
Kyrgios.
Oh,
I
sorry.
think them two go for a battle in the same. That would have been a really good game.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I'll probably watch the T20. Is on.
Yeah, that's a good show.
When's that on? That's on Saturday. England already 1-0 down to India, so it'd be interesting to see how that goes. It'll be quite exciting. And then I'm spending all day Sunday at a football tournament with my daughter. So watching my daughter play a football tournament. So absolutely
Top
no
up
idea.
the flu. Top up the flu, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Full of the cold and loads of snotty kids. Just brilliant. So that's my.
There's going to be loads of parents there seeing you coughing and spluttering. Like, you're going to be a very lonely boy on the Sunday.
Yeah.
What else is new? Well, tomorrow you got the F1, the sprint race tomorrow in Austria will be really good, and the main Grand Prix on Sunday will be good. The rugby interesting. Ireland playing New Zealand. We're going to get absolutely tongued. England, Australia could be decent. Wales, South Africa would be very good. That was a really, really good game last week. It was, I think, last minute score from South Africa got them back to a draw. I think it was, and there was loads of boxing on last week in the UFC as well. It was a mental week last week, but this week a bit more subdued. You got the women's Euros as well going on, so something in that. But yeah, I'm the same as Ash. I'm counting down the days now. I don't give a shit about the results in preseason.
No,
care less.
I just want to see them. I just want to see
them. I'm interested to see what United do under Ten Hag that's different.
Yeah,
that's really piqued my interest because he's on about a change of philosophy and a change of identity and a change of way of playing.
That takes time to implement, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they play. I'm interested to see how we do. Obviously, there's some players that you look into. You're always hoping to see some of the kids develop, and like Chris was saying earlier on, by the end of preseason, there's 3 or 4 players that are going to be ones to look out for in the League Cup.
Yeah,
but with the advent of 5 subs, it's going to be a case of looking at the bench and seeing who Klopp was going to use for the first half of for the first 4 or 5 games in the league. Is there anyone that's going to push their way on there? And you hope to God that there is. But yeah, genuinely, 100% couldn't give a flying tuppeny about results. I'd take 3, as Daz was saying earlier on, is like you
lose all the preseason.
Couldn't care less what happens. 3 points away to Craven Cottage is all I give.
That's all that matters. Yeah,
give a toss about really.
Cool.
But I'm looking forward to football being back. It's been a weird one because this is a summer where you'd normally have a tournament on, and at least you get your fix that way. But this is a long, drawn out period without nothing, man.
Just watch the Euros with me, mate. You'll be fine.
I have been watching it. It's like,
oh, you liar! Look how high pitched you went then. Yeah.
No, genuinely, I have been watching it. I watched because you went, didn't you? How did you find it? Because you went to Old Trafford.
Apart from being in Old Trafford, it was all right. Yeah,
it was full house, wasn't it? It was near full house.
68, just under 69,000 it was. So it was
fair play.
Yeah, so busy. Game was good. Atmosphere was good. I can now see why United fans moan about Old Trafford. It's a big set. Look, view wise, you can't really complain with the view, but it does look tired. All around and inside, it is a bit like a time warp going a bit back. It does look tired. It needs some investment in it. So, but no, the game was good. Atmosphere was good. Open ceremony was a laugh. So yeah, little one loved it. So
England in with a live chance. You think?
Yeah, I think the third and the better, second or third. So, but Spain are very good and France are very good. So they're probably ones to look at. And Denmark and Germany are probably the dark horses for it. So I would expect England to get quarters, semis, and then just see how they go. But
you've got tickets to the final as well, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Not because I think England will get there. It's just because how often do you get to go to an international final?
Yeah,
it's very rare you get tickets or anything like that. So me and my little one are going just for the experience. I don't mind who's in the final. If England are in it, bonus. But otherwise, if it's the Dutch and France, I'll be quite happy just to watch that. So looking forward to that. So rest of the week on Trippers. Day off tomorrow. Fatback 4, guys.
Fatback 4
Sunday. Is it just chat, or are you doing a quiz, Kev? Or
I am not doing a quiz in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. But I'll tell you what, if you haven't done it yet, the quiz that they've done. I think there'll be another one going out on Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
It is so much fun.
It is
such
a laugh.
a laugh.
It is a laugh.
Just flick YouTube on, just flick it on your telly, and click the link and get into it on your phone and just play away. It is such a laugh. There was about 80 odd people playing in it last Wednesday night.
Yeah,
and it is a proper laugh. Really well worth it. Really well worth it. You know, I'd encourage anyone to have a go and just give it a lash. It costs nothing, and it is just a great way to unwind and chill out on a midweek night when there's nothing on. You know, it's great.
There you go. So keep your eye out for that Wednesday. Just if you click the bell icon, it'll tell you when we're next doing one. So until then, guys, take care of yourselves, and we will be back very, very soon.